Hello, and thank you for participating in today's webcast titled Reviewing Programs for the ACPA 2015 Annual Convention, hosted by the ACPA Convention Program Team. We will be recording today's broadcast and welcome questions throughout the session. To ask a question of the panelists, please type in the question bar in the Go to Meeting menu. If you are experiencing technical difficulties, please use the chat box to contact ACPA for assistance. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dwayne Todd, and I'll be leading today's webcast. I'm serving as the program's co-chair for the 2015 convention in Tampa. I work at the Columbus College of Art and Design as a vice president for student affairs. Also joining us on the call are three other members of the program team, and I'll have them introduce themselves at this time. Don?
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Don Stenta, and I'm serving as an assistant for the programs, co-chairing that with Dwayne. And I serve as the Director of Student Life Recreational Sports at Ohio State.
Great. Vicki?
Hi, my name is Vicki Dean. I work at Southern Illinois University serving in residence life as an assistant director, and I am working with the program team on our exceptional practices category.
Thank you. Case?
Good afternoon. My name is Case Willoughby. I'm the Vice President for Student Affairs at Butler County Community College, and I'm serving on the program team as the General Programs Chair.
And finally, Jeff.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Brown. I serve as the Associate Dean of Students at Clemson University and serve this committee as our sponsored programs chair.
Thank you. I want to warmly welcome all of you participants we have on this webcast. The webcast is the second of three in a series designed to intentionally build strong and engaging program sessions and curriculum for the convention. The final webcast will be described at the end. Our webcast today will cover important information about the process of reviewing convention programs. Here's the agenda. First, Don will provide an overview of program types, including our focus as the program team on specific curriculum and themes. He will also talk about the program review timeline. Case is going to cover our expectations for program reviewers, what it means to write a quality review using our program rubric. Vicki will describe a new program type this year, exceptional practices, and how they should be reviewed differently than general programs. Then I will walk you through several screenshots of the Content Data Management System, or CDMS for short, what that interface looks like, which is where you'll be entering your reviews. And I'll conclude summarizing the program selection process and discuss our next steps, including our final webcast on November 13th. Questions are welcome throughout, and we'll also have a specific time set aside at the end of today's webcast. Jeff is here to assist with any questions from those who are reviewing sponsored or co-sponsored programs. All right. So Don, would you like to start us on the 2015 theme?
Sure. Thank you, Dwayne. It's a pleasure to be here today. And we just want to outline a little bit of information here about our theme. The ACPA 2000 convention is focused and seeks to create a space for all of our participants to really consider our practice and the role in changing higher education landscape while reinforcing all the values that endure for us and professional growth for us as individuals. The convention is going to provide opportunities to collaborate and strengthen internal and external partnerships to ensure that we're advancing student success. You'll see that through an intentionally developed curriculum that features things like exceptional practices and published conference proceedings. We hope that participants will create connections with inquiry and action. Further, we hope that attendees will commit to establishing and renewing professional networks and friendships in Tampa and then beyond. So the theme is very important to communicating our aspirations for convention attendees, and these four ideas communicate those aspirations. We are not asking program proposers to tie their program to one of these special thematic elements, so you'll want to keep that in mind. In fact, we've actually tried to discourage proposers from trying to force one of these words into their session title in a way that might feel gimmicky or inauthentic. And it's also important as a reviewer that you not insist on seeing one of these thematic words in the title. You also should not give an advantage to anyone who does use that. So we also thought it was important to outline our professional competencies. the ACPA NASPO professional competencies for student affairs practitioners were developed by a joint task force with representatives from both associations. In referencing the PDF link that we have linked to this slide at the end of the screen, the competency areas are intended to define the broad professional knowledge, skills, and in some cases the attitudes that are expected of student affairs professionals, regardless of what your area of specialization is or the position that you have in our profession. The document, as you can assume, was intended to inform the design of professional development opportunities for student affairs professionals, which includes the association's national convention, by making sure that we have outcomes that can be incorporated into the design of our curriculum. So when you're reviewing proposals, you will note that presenters are asked to check one or two of the professional competency areas with which their proposal is designed to align. Please check to see that in the body of the proposal, the presenter has indicated how specifically they are addressing the competency area or the areas they indicated. Just a special note about the leadership competency. This competency area is not specifically for proposals addressing student leadership development, but rather regarding the knowledge, skills, and attitudes required of a leader in a position who acts in his or her collective capacity within a group to envision, to plan, and to affect change in higher education or the organizations that are assisted with higher ed. So we have a number of categories that our programs will fall into, and there are more than what you see listed here, but these are the categories that require a review. So I just want to briefly explain these program categories. The first one are general convention programs that CASE will be working with specifically are 60-minute sessions. These are focused on advancing their participants' professional competencies. You'll probably notice, and you're probably familiar if you've attended our convention, that the general programs comprise the majority of the educational sessions, and we also expect that there's a theoretical or conceptual basis for the discussion. The next category that our colleague Jeff is going to be working with are connected to sponsored and co-sponsored programs. So ACPA's organizational structure includes commissions that represent functional and interest areas to student affairs professionals, and standing committees that represent the specific identity groups within our membership. In many cases, program topics and submissions are related specifically to the work of our commissions and our standing committees, and so they may be submitted as a sponsored program. If the proposal content is related to the work of more than one commission or standing committee, then the proposal may be submitted as a co-sponsored activity. The sponsoring entities will review the proposals, and you may be identified as a reviewer by one of the sponsoring entities. If those programs are selected by the sponsoring entities, then they will be designated as such. And if they're not, then they will be entered as a submission for a general program for the general convention slots. So it's very important to keep in mind later on when we talk about the specificity by which you should use to provide feedback. This will be an important way for us to consider these sessions as general convention programs. A new category that we have this year is called exceptional practices. These are going to be sessions that allow presenters to share programs, strategies, and interventions that have been successful on your campus. They differ from the convention general programs in that they may not be focused on developing specific professional competencies, or they may not go into specific details about the theoretical foundation or a theoretical foundation for the program, but they will identify a proven track record of success, and in the sessions should include demonstrated evidence of success by either informal or formal assessment measures that confirms effectiveness. In this year's convention, these presenting programs will share a 60-minute time slot with other presenters on a similarly focused topic. Vicki Dean, who's on our call today on our webinar, will be leading these sessions. Our extended sessions are a lengthier session program that fill an entire 2-hour block. These provide convention attendees with an intensive learning experience designed to promote a level of competence in a specific area. by providing more time, presenters can explore a topic in more depth. When you're reading proposals for this category, you should expect that extended session submissions should provide justification for the length of your session, including a strong conceptual framework and a detailed agenda. The research papers and poster sessions are an opportunity to present scholarly research conducted by graduate students or faculty members particularly, but by any of our members. Each 75-minute time slot for research papers will include a presentation of 3 topics, 20 minutes each, followed by a brief discussion. And the poster presentations are designed for discussion about research projects that are in process or have just been completed. They will be presented on a large bulletin board. If you're designated as a reviewer for papers and posters, Sarah Marshall, our colleague at Central Michigan University, will provide more specific process and information about how we're reviewing papers and poster sessions. And then finally, to wrap up this area, are the pre-convention colloquia. If you've attended our convention in the past, these have also been called pre-conference workshops. But these are both invited and selected sessions that provide opportunities to engage in really deep, sustained dialogue and learning on contemporary issues that are really relevant to us today. They're offered prior to the convention on Wednesday, March 4th, and on Thursday, March 5th, either as a half-day or full-day offering, 3 or 6 hours respectively, and there is an additional cost. Denise Ottinger is helping us out with the pre-convention sessions. Finally, the thing to keep in mind is that our competencies and our theme help create and develop our curriculum. So we really want you to give thought to the references and the connections that are made in the proposals to our professional competencies and the theme of the convention. When we have proposals that do this well, that tie to the competencies and the theme, we will have a very full and very rich curriculum, and we are very appreciative of your work in this area. And then finally, our timeline is listed here. We are assigning programs to be reviewed now. Those reviews will need to be turned in and submitted through the content data management system that we'll review later on. By September 30th, this is a very firm deadline because there are a number of activities that happen immediately following the September 30th deadline. So if you've already been assigned programs, we encourage you to move forward on reviewing them, because we will have a program selection meeting in October from the 9th to the 11th where we do a lot of work related to assembling the program. We then turn around very quickly and notify presenters by October 16th, and then ask those presenters to make commitments to us by the 30th of October. Once people learn of their program acceptance, we will have a third webcast on November 13th that outlines, now that your program has been accepted, what are the great characteristics and the great considerations that must be made to have a successful workshop. And then by December 2nd, we will notify our presenters about when and where they will be presenting during our convention.
Great, thank you, Don. Case is going to review for us some expectations of our reviewer.
Thanks, Dwayne. So quality reviews will really consider the program type. That Don just described. This will help you think through what the program should have as part of its proposal. Now, for all the program types, with the exception of exceptional practices, you're going to utilize the program scoring rubric, which we'll show in a moment. Determine whether the proposal corresponds with the professional competencies. So really take a look at both of those documents, the professional competencies as well as the proposal for that. And ensure the proposal is grounded in theory or conceptual framework. What's distinct about the exceptional practices is we're really looking for demonstrable evidence of program's effectiveness. So I wouldn't recommend that you think the level of research that would get into a peer-reviewed journal, but really demonstrating some type of assessment that provides evidence that the program works. Next slide, please. So to find the program scoring rubric, it's at the convention main website. So take a look at the convention.myacpa.org/Tampa2015. That's the main convention website. Select Program Reviewer Information on the pull-down menu, and then you'll get to the scoring rubric. And you can scroll down under General Programs Reviewer Expectations. If we can go to the next slide, please. I won't go into great detail about the program scoring rubric because it was very well written by the creators of it. But there are 6 areas. 5 are showing on your screen right now. For each area, you'll be giving a rating between 0 for poor all the way to 4 for outstanding. So really take a good look at the specific aspects of the rubric under each of the 6 areas and do a good run through to determine what score you're going to give each aspect. Next slide, please. So the areas are content, which pertains to the thoroughness, quality, and clarity of the proposal. Innovative approach, which is about the innovation and creativity of program content. Theoretical foundation pertains to the program's grounding in theory. Significance is about the proposal's educational and professional significance. So is it meaningful to the profession or to participants? Relevancy is the proposal's connection with a critical issue or professional competency there. And organization pertains to whether the program is well planned and will be engaging for the audience. So what makes a solid review? The scoring should align clearly with the rubric's standards. And the scoring should reflect the feedback that you'll have an opportunity to provide. So if the feedback says this is great, but the score is a number 2, which indicates average, that's contradictory. So try and make sure that the numerical scores and the written content that you provide is coherent. And the feedback should be clear, concise, and specific. You don't need to write volumes, but it should be clear what you're saying, whether it's praise or constructive criticism. An example I think of is one organization I used to work with for a time had the notion of providing brutally honest feedback until they realized they were concentrating on the brutality more than the honesty. So think about an ethic of care when you're writing your comments. Think about if your reviews are anonymous, but if your name were visible, would that be something you'd want to attach your name to? Feedback should be constructive and helpful. Next slide, please.
Okay, with exceptional practices, as mentioned earlier, there are some differences. This used to be the promising practices category. However, ACPA recognized that there's a wealth of experience out there on individual campuses. So if you're reviewing exceptional practices, you'll notice that these are often campus-specific. They may be showcase programs, something that departments are really proud of, and that other units might be able to learn from. So as mentioned earlier, they are intended to share strategies, programs, and interventions that have been proven to be successful. They are sharing a time slot. So presenters should prepare for a 20-minute presentation with 10 minutes of Q&A at the end in the shared slot. And because of this restriction, if you're reviewing exceptional practices, you'll want to make sure to pay attention to the quantity of material in the proposal and whether that's appropriate for a 20-minute time slot. The other thing that you'll want to look for is that this is not necessarily looking for formal or highly formal assessment methods. We're not looking for those peer-reviewed article level types of assessment, but we are looking for proven results. So the proposal should be able to demonstrate how they've assessed the success of a program. And thus, pilot phase programs are not appropriate because they probably have not had any assessment methods yet. Next slide.
Thanks. Vicki, before we go on, this is Dwayne, and I just want to kind of draw out again how this may be different from promising practices. Promising practices in the past has suggested that this has hope for making a difference with students and maybe something we want to pay attention to on our own campuses. And we've tried to now change that understanding by relabeling it exceptional practices and insisting that there be some kind of evaluation done to ensure that this is indeed a practice that works on a certain campus and has proven results. So I just want to kind of reinforce what you just said in terms of from a reviewer standpoint, you need to be looking for those assessment results.
Great, thank you. Okay, so these programs do not necessarily need the tie to professional competencies or the theoretical foundation. or the references that you may see in a general program proposal. However, they do need to include the functional mechanics of how the program is implemented. So we're going to be looking for goals, we're going to be looking for methods, we're going to be looking for what those assessment strategies are, and then as with any proposal, we're looking for an outline and a methodology for the presenters and how they plan to present that material. There is a possibility for a program to be submitted under the exceptional practices category that may not fit exceptional practices, so to speak, but they may be a quality program proposal. So if that is the case, and you are reviewing exceptional practices, those folks who are reviewing exceptional practices have been instructed to email me if there are any that could be transferred over to a general program category, and considering changing the type. That's what I have in terms of exceptional practices.
Great, thank you, Vicki. Don, would you go elaborate a little bit farther on research papers and posters?
Absolutely, thank you.
So
as I mentioned earlier, the review form that you'll see on the management system is not ideal for reviewing the papers and poster sessions, and so you'll be getting additional information from Sarah Marshall describing a different review form and the process that you'll be using. I think that you'll find it very suitable and aligned with what we have online, but it'll help get the specifics of the posters and the paper sessions along with feedback to the presenters in a more proper way.
Great. Okay, thank you. So we've gone through the program types. We've talked a little bit about expectations of reviewers. One thing I want to mention is that as reviewers, you're going to be getting an additional email from the ACPA office here pretty soon that reiterates some of these points. We're going to provide you a link to the rubric online, so you're sure to know exactly where it is. We're going to also provide you with a document that was created just this year by some people who are helping us out with equity and inclusion on the program team. Shauna Patterson is our coordinator for equity and inclusion efforts, and she and some people that worked with her developed a nice document that are important sort of pointers and things to remember as you're completing reviews to make sure that we're looking at those programs through an equity and inclusion lens. So you'll be getting that document as well by email shortly after this webcast, maybe the next couple days. Okay, are there any questions, Chris, before we move on into the mechanics of how to work through CDMS?
There are no questions currently.
Okay, I guess we're doing a bang-up job, huh? All right, we're going to keep going. Don't hesitate to just throw a question on if you have it along the way, and we'll get to those as we can. Okay, so let's talk about CDMS. CDMS is our Convention Data Management System. It's how you will go in to complete your reviews. So I'm going to just show you some screenshots of what it looks like if you have not done this before. It's a pretty intuitive process, but what's intuitive to me might not be intuitive to the next person, so we want to make sure we explain all this. When you log into CDMS, you're going to go to this URL that you see at the top of the page. You'll see that in the email that you receive assigning you to a program category type, so you can just click on that. And then you're going to log in as a reviewer. So you'll see where I've circled down here in red the reviewer login section. If you're presenting, or you've submitted a proposal, you would log in on the left where it says presenter, and it takes you to a different section of CDMS. When you're reviewing, you need to log in over here on the right, and then you'll go from there. And the next screen you'll see is a list of programs that have been assigned to you to review in CDMS. You'll see here this heading, reviewer assigned to the following programs, and then underneath those, all of the programs that have been assigned to you as a reviewer. These will be hyperlinks, so you can just click on one of those titles and it will take you to that program description. If you do not see any programs yet under your login, that means that you haven't been assigned any programs yet. We are through all of our program assignment categories except for general programs and extended sessions. So those are the bulk of the sessions that we still have to assign, and there are a bunch of them. So they'll be coming in the next few days, so keep checking in, and don't just check once, but check multiple times, because even all the way to the 30th, I would suggest that you go ahead and maybe log in every couple days to see if any additional programs have been assigned to you. Sometimes what happens is that programs need an extra review. Maybe someone wasn't able to complete a review, or we just need another opinion on a program. So we'll assign that out to another reviewer. So the first round of reviews that you see may not be the final list that you actually get. So I would encourage you to kind of log in periodically and see if there are any other unfinished reviews in there. All right, so the next screen you'll see when you click on one of those program titles is this review screen. This is just a test program up here right now. That's why it says program title test, but the full title of that program will be shown there. You'll see two small links underneath there. One says view small and the other one says view full size. You may need to click on one of those, and I would suggest the full size link to actually have the program description pop up. What you're seeing is the review form right now, and you'll need to actually see the program, obviously, to know how to fill out the form. So if you click on the view full size, it'll pop up in another window. Make sure your pop-ups are allowed on your browser so that it can open up, and then you can just toggle back and forth to read the program description and then to rate it properly. You'll see right underneath that ACPA's equity and inclusion statement. It's important that you read this and keep that in mind as you're reviewing your programs. We're going to ask you to mark yes or no that you believe that it is consistent or inconsistent with those guidelines. So this is the program description. When I mentioned that screen pops up, this is what you'll see, which is the title of the program, the type of program that it is. This would be a general program, the audience that is targeted for this, the keywords that are tied to it, professional competencies that are tagged to it. We're going to ask you to, this is the abstract, so check that out, and then the full description you'll see underneath there. So read this in its entirety, if you would please. Maybe give it a full read-through first before you begin going in and making comments and scoring on certain things. I would suggest you read the whole proposal through first and then maybe work back through each of the components of it. So when you get back to the form, this is what that looks like. You'll see the scale at the top, 0 being a very weak proposal. The criterion is not evident at all within the proposal. All the way to 4, which is very good. The criterion is fully demonstrated in the proposal, and you would consider it to be flawlessly adhering to the proposed criteria. All right, so you can rank this between 0 and 4. These are drop-down menus next to each of the criterion, and when you click on that drop-down, whoops, well, don't click on it while you're doing a webinar, but when you click on it, you'll see the drop-down menu where you can give it a score, and then you'll type your comments in here right underneath that criterion. Any of their comments you want to make. It's important to tell you that you have to score every criterion and you have to put some comments in the box. If you fail to do that, then the form will, if you try to submit the form, it's going to take you back and say there's an error and that you need to complete those sections. So make sure you put comments in, and please don't just put good in comments. If you do your job as a reviewer and actually provide the kind of feedback that is educational and useful to the process. All right, at the bottom of the form, it automatically scores all of those criterion that you gave, the scores to the criterion. It gives it a total score down here. It doesn't mean anything really other than just to help you understand maybe at the end how you want to make a recommendation in terms of whether the program gets accepted or not. Down here where it says recommendation, this is really, really, really important that you think this through. We've gone this year from having just 3 scores or recommendations, either reject, accept, or maybe, and for years we just had those 3, to now having a 5-point scale, all the way from very good to very weak. This is an overall score of the entire proposal that you've read through. This gives us a bigger spread among the scoring from the proposal, so that when we go as a program team to slot these programs and make final decisions about which ones are accepted, it gives us much more differentiation between each of the programs. So So make a good recommendation here based on your evaluation, and then this is a box here for final comments. Anything that wasn't covered in items 1 through 6 above, or any other summary comments you might want to make here. At the end, you need to click this button that says Submit Review. If you don't click that, your review will get erased when you leave the screen. So make sure you submit review at the bottom before you move on. Okay. So the selection process in summary. The first round is an anonymous group review. So some people have put their names into the proposal itself. We've kind of asked them not to do that, but some people did. So I'm just trusting you'll act ethically with that information. If you know that you recognize the person in the proposal, or maybe you have a tie to that program in some way, if you would just contact us and let us know that, you need to be reassigned to another program, that would be great for us and for the proposer. Otherwise, it should be an anonymous review process as best we can. We want you to look for ties to the professional competencies, as we mentioned, when appropriate. Remember that exceptional practices, we are not expecting necessarily to be tied to a professional competency. If it is, all the better. If it's not, that they should not be penalized for that. The program should be supported by data and theoretical framework, again, when appropriate. Same story. We have not asked our exceptional practice individuals, proposers, to do so. They may have a really great theoretical framework, or maybe conceptual foundation for the work that they're doing, and it would make the proposal even stronger, but sometimes they may not. So please keep that in mind. We want all of them to be well written and well structured. When I review programs in the past, that matters to me a lot, that the proposer has taken time to put together a quality proposal, that grammar is correct, that it looks like they took the time needed to really create a decent and well-regarded proposal, because how they put the proposal together may in fact reflect on how they're going to deliver that presentation once they're at ACPA. You want to check the background of the presenters, make sure that they match the content they'd like to present. So if you see an entry-level staff member, that kind of experience, who's trying to present on something you would consider to be advanced skills, you might want to dig a little bit deeper and look to see if in fact they have the knowledge to present that advanced level of skills, and they in fact may. But we want you to also make sure that sort of their background in terms of the work that they do ties in, the functional area they work in ties in with the content that they're presenting, or maybe they had that content in their prior job or something along those lines. All right, so just try to do your best to match background of presenters to the type of content they're presenting. We do want you to include positive comments as well as constructive comments. If you see something that really works for you, you think it's well regarded, well thought through, an innovative idea, say so in your comment box. The presenters will see what you put in that box. I want to emphasize that again. If you type comments into that box, don't think that it's just going to the program team. Yes, we'll see it, but those we'll be reviewing about 800 plus different programs here along the way, and we just don't have time to go in and edit the comments on every single program. So please make sure that your comments are appropriate to be seen by the people who are going to receive them. We want you to follow through on your reviews. This is also really important. We have a lot of things to happen in a short period of time, and we need everyone to kind of follow through on their commitments with their reviewing. And lastly, I hope that you would try to make this an educational process for you and for the person who's proposed. There's a lot that I learned when I complete reviews in the past, and even now as I read through programs that are coming through for submission. It's exciting to hear what colleagues are doing. It makes me think about my own work on my campus, and so it also helps me think about ways that I can improve my ability to propose programs for conferences when I read these and take note of what I think is working and what may not work so well. So that's the process in summary. I think we're at the end of the formal presentation time, and I'm sure that there are some questions along the way that you would like to have answered. On this screen, I've put the names and email addresses and program team titles for various people who review what we call, who oversee what we call reviewed programs. There are lots of other people on the program team. Some of those people are managing things like ancillary programs, which are meetings and receptions and those kinds of things. Other people are in charge of programs that are not being reviewed. They're invited programs of sorts, or ones that the program team has put together. But the people you see on the screen right now are those who are reviewing programs that have been submitted for review. So you might take note of the person who's overseeing the program that you have already been assigned to. Or if you haven't been assigned to a program yet, you have gotten an email about that. Chances are you're going to be assigned to general programs and or extended sessions. Okay. Chris, any questions come in?
We do have a couple of questions. On the program recommendations screen, for the overall evaluation, should you only select one box?
On the program evaluation screen, let me back up to that. This one here?
Yes.
Can you read the question again?
Yes. Should you, for the overall evaluation, should you only select one box?
Yes, you should. I think it will only allow you to pick one of those there where it says recommendation. You can only pick one of these.
Great. And on the comments, would you prefer full sentences in the comments, or are bulleted comments acceptable?
Bulleted comments are fine. You're not going to have all the functionality of Word in Word as you would here. So if you're going to do a bullet, you're probably going to have to use that little hyphen sign or an asterisk or something like that. But it's okay to use bullets. Just make sure that you're providing thorough enough feedback to be useful.
Thank you.
Case, do you have a different opinion about that? Because you'll be receiving most of the reviews.
No, I fully agree. The most important part is that it will be clear to the convention team and, most importantly, to the proposer what the feedback means. So I'm not worried about partial sentences or fragments as long as there's enough information.
Right. So if you want to do like a heading of, good aspects of this proposal, bullet, 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 and then another one, areas for improvement, bullet, 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 that would be fine with me.
Agreed.
Any other questions?
When will we estimate we'll get our login information for the CDMS system?
You should already have that. So, if you're going to be assigned, you know what, you haven't. If you've not been assigned yet to a program category, you'll be getting that as soon as you do. It's an automatic email that the system kicks out. Case and some of his very good friends are going to be assigning those general programs and extended sessions here in the next few days. So if you haven't gotten an email yet that says you've been assigned to a program category, it's coming very soon. And I think in that will have your password to go in and complete the reviews. Hey, Jeff. Jeff's on the call today. Jeff oversees our sponsor and co-sponsor programs. Jeff, is there anything you want to add in terms of any special things that relate to sponsored and co-sponsor program reviews?
The only thing I guess I would add is that if anyone out there is a reviewer, the different commissions and standing committees I think are at different points. Some of them have gone in and assigned programs, and some of them have not. So again, just reemphasizing what Dwayne had already said in terms of going back and checking, logging in and checking to see when those are assigned, because like I said, they're at different places in terms of doing that process.
Great. Now, and one thing I would add to this is, remember, if you're reviewing a sponsored program and you don't think that you want to pick it up, you wouldn't recommend that it be picked up for sponsorship by the entity that you're reviewing for, but still think it's a solid program. Please do the evaluation as if you were reviewing a general program, because that's the only review that it's really going to get. So you can still communicate the programs that you think should be picked up for sponsorship to your entity chair, your program chair for your entity. But do that sort of offline. Go ahead and review the program for the value of the program, whether or not you think it's right to be picked up for sponsorship by your entity or not. Does that make sense, Jeff? Did I say that right? So in other words, don't give it a, you know.
That is correct.
Right. Yeah. Don't give it a very weak program designation if it's a strong program and you just didn't want it for your entity for sponsorship. Any other questions, Chris?
I'm scrolling through. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to type them in the question bar. Once the reviews are submitted, how long will it take for the program submitters to get the status of their program?
Once the reviews are completed, we will take that information to our program selection meeting, which is in the middle of October. I think it's the second weekend of October, actually. That's where we will make final decisions about programs. We'll actually slot them into a time and a space at that meeting, and then later that week you'll receive notice that that your program has been accepted or has not been accepted. There may be some programs that are waitlisted, depending on how much space we have and the quality of the overall programs, and so we'll also let you know if you've been waitlisted. And often programs will open up. Presenters will decide they're not coming, or they have to decline for whatever reason, and so a space will open up in that regard. We're committing to notify all presenters by October 16th. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you are presenting at ACPA, you must register for the convention. So there are some presenters who don't do that, and we're going to check to make sure that that does happen sometime in December. So if you're not registered, we'll let people know what this deadline is, but if presenters are not registered by a certain deadline in December, we will have to cancel their program, and unless we know there's a really good reason why. And then that'll free up space to assign some waitlisted programs in.
And could you clarify, those that are reviewing poster presentations will be receiving separate instructions, is that correct?
Yes, this is Don, and Sarah will be communicating directly with people who are doing the research papers and the posters with additional detail and explanation on how the process that she's developed will link and connect to the CDMS system. So you'll still be using the CDMS system, but there's additional information that she'll provide that will give you insight into how specifically to take the reviewing criteria and apply them in the system that we have set up.
Right. The CDMS only allows us to have one review form, so the review form applies to all the programs except for the research papers and poster sessions. So she's providing those reviewers with a grid of sorts that helps them see how, what the criteria are that she wants you using, and then how to enter that into CDMS in the right place.
In terms of how selective we should be, how many programs were submitted, and what is the goal in terms of how many are accepted?
I don't know if I have an answer to that right now. We're still working out how many program session rooms we're going to use for different things. So we want to accept as many great programs as we can. So I don't have a firm number to give you on that. I would say just take the basis of the programs that you're seeing now, and if they're all fantastic, mark them all very good, and let the program team do its work then on the back end in terms of deciding, we're going to take other things into account, like what is the spread of the professional competencies that are being addressed, the different skill levels that we're addressing, the different functional areas. There are a lot of other things that we need to take into account that determine what programs get slotted and which don't. Even so there may even be some very good programs that we have to turn down for whatever reason. So I would say just go ahead and do your work in terms of rating them as you see the quality, and then the program team will make decisions about where they fit best.
If we are reviewing programs for a commission, will the commission contact us with the password?
This is Jeff. Your password still should have been given when you signed up to be a reviewer. So if you do not have that information, you can either contact me or your commission or standing committee sponsored program chair.
Any other questions? Okay.
Checking through. There's a couple more questions. How do we inform volunteers that they may not be assigned programs? Is it possible given the number of programs versus the number of people?
Is it possible that we would have reviewers who don't get assigned programs? I would say it's possible. It's unlikely because everyone has good things to contribute to the conversation about which programs should appear at the convention. So I would imagine everyone's going to get assigned some number of programs. We're trying to keep the program assignment numbers less than 8 per reviewer, and that's in total because we've had some problems in the past where the left hand might not have known what the right hand was doing in terms of assigning programs. There are a lot of people in this process of assigning far too many programs to really do an adequate job with that. So we're shooting for 8 and fewer per person, which means that we need more reviewers to spread the love around. So so I can't imagine that if you signed up to review, you are going to get assigned some programs. I feel pretty confident in that.
And have you seen any trends with new versus seasoned reviewers?
I have not had that much time to look at that yet. We saw a lot of reviewers sign up at the last minute in typical student affairs fashion, I think. So I haven't had time to really look at that. We normally have a fantastic spread of both new professionals and old hats who just like being part of this process. Has anyone else seen any trends in terms of reviewers? Okay.
And could you tell us one more time what to do when a proposal is seen that may be more suitable for another type of program?
Yeah, I would ask you to contact the program chair over the area that you're reviewing. We're trying to assign people to a limited number of program types. Maybe just one if we can, but if we need to assign you to more than one, we're just trying to maybe do 2 different program types. If you're reviewing a program, let's say it's a general program, and that's how it was submitted, and you think, well, there's not really a great theoretical foundation here, maybe there aren't a lot of references involved, it's probably better suited as an exceptional practice chair, then I would ask you to contact Case, because Case is over that program right now, and make that comment to him. It would be helpful if you give him the full title of the program. There's also a program ID number that is usually shown right next to the program title. If you can give him that program ID number as well, he'll be able to find it quickly. He can take a look, and if he agrees, he'll kick it over to Vicki, and she'll take it into her area for consideration. So the person you should contact is the person who's overseeing the program under which it was originally submitted.
Great. Are the ideas shared in the programs copyrighted? For example, if someone shares a great method of assessment, are we allowed to borrow that idea?
As a reviewer, I guess so. Sure, it's part of the educational process, right? I mean, if they were going to present it at the convention, they have to assume that some people will take that idea and run. So I would, I don't necessarily think there's a problem with that. I would say if you're using material that someone has written and it somehow appears in the proposal, then you probably should credit that properly when you're using it. So let's take, for example, research papers. That's probably the clearest example where you might come across findings that that are written into the proposal itself, and if you wanted to use that in as knowledge, you might want to give credit to that person if you can. Anything else, Chris? Well,
no.
Okay, I think we'll probably bring this to a close then. So thank you all for your time today in joining us to try to develop the best reviewer skills you possibly can. Look for an email coming from the ACPA office here in the next few days with some of these points reiterated and some additional resources to help you. On behalf of the panel, we thank you for serving your association by helping us create a fantastic convention, and we look forward to seeing everybody in Tampa.
Thank you for participating in today's webcast. The recording will be made available shortly on the ACPA 2015 website. This concludes our webcast.